We are group number 7 and our research topic is public spaces, urbanity, and livability. In the definition part, people behavior is a key element to classify and qualify public space. By looking at the way people connect to certain places, we can better understand boundaries of accessibility, attitude towards diversity, and ways of expressing one place identity. In the selection part, the use of public space and behaviors here are not only related to the personal interests, but also guided by official documents and affected by services provided. Under this result, central spaces will eventually be formed, and based on the two subway lines and axes extending from Loreto Square, we selected 4 typical spaces as further research objects. In the analysis part, we use totality and complexity map of areas as a standard to measure the quality of public spaces. In the conclusion part, comparing maps with the videos taken on the spot, we found that the livability of public space is related to its vitality and complexity. The more complex public space is, the more activities it has, and the more suitable for living. To better analyze publicity instead, we try to classify public spaces based on interaction behaviors. The 2 books as theoretical sport are respectively Young Girls Live Between Buildings and Karen Peters Living Together in Multi-Ethnic Neighborhoods. We sought out the behaviors and types of typical spaces, classifying them in one-to-one correspondence with the theories mentioned above. Necessary activities include those that are more or less compulsory, going to school, shopping, or waiting for a bus, while function spaces like stations and markets are where majority of these activities take place. Optional activities are participated in if there's a wish to do so and if time and place make it possible. In this case, social spaces can be described. People go to these spaces on their own or with others and are confronted with unknown ones. Social activities include children at play, greetings, communal activities, and passive contact, which is simply seeing and hearing other people. While in the experiential spaces, by doing leisure in public spaces, people connect to a certain space as well as to the other people who use it. Our research region is composed of several different cities. In our analysis, the central space of each region is area, which reflects the difference of public service, functions, and the complexity. So we study each region from the PGT maps of land use tab, urban spatial structure and urban activity summary, trying to form a map of central spaces of the research region. For the north part of Milan, we refer to the maps of land use and building functions, and we found that the central places of this area have already been defined in the PGT map. For Sesto San Giovanni, we study from 3 aspects: commercial, urban structure, and land use. With information of commercial distribution, residential and public services, we identify 2 central spaces in Giovanni. For the other regions, we choose the same study method, study from PGD maps of land use, public service, and activities. Thus, we form this map about the distribution of central spaces in our research region. And take the axis extended from Milan and the metro line into consideration, we selected 4 typical places for more in-depth study. The first typical place is a part of central place of Loreto. Open areas here mainly refer to the 4 crossings and streets connecting them. Compared to the streets, crossings provide much more public service, not only traffic stations, parking lots, but also green areas and outdoor facilities. The first one is Piazza Spoleto. A middle high school is located at the corner. This plaza is surrounded by trees, benches, and sport facilities. The second one is Piazza Mobagno. This square is featured by the central garden and complex traffic conditions. Also, the outdoor dining tables are very attractive. The third one is a traffic intersection. There are many parking lots serving for people who go to Conard for shopping. Social functions here are less performed than transportation. The last one is a community garden. This plaza is served for people who live in here. Green areas and parking lots are main components. Then here comes the video we have taken inside. Then it comes to vitality pattern. We could say this heat map is kind of matching the complexity we mentioned before. The four crossings and parts of streets are with higher vitality, especially the second square, Piazza Magno. Moreover, people's behaviors in different spaces show different features. For example, people would like to spend more time in the first and second plazas, making conversation or having lunch together. The second typical place is one of the central places of Sesto San Giovanni. The main public space is made up by two squares and one street which connected them. The first one is a square where the subway station located. It supplies citizens with small shops selling newspapers and flowers, trees and benches. The other one is in a much smaller scale. It is surrounded by residential and various shops. Plenty of greenery and benches are also provided. We can read from the heat map that the vitality of these two squares is higher than others, and the second one is at a much higher level. Considering what we observe at the scene, users of the first square are mainly passengers from subway and citizens who go through quickly, while the other square allows its users to do some shopping or have some coffee, which makes them stay long time. The third typical place is on the other side of the railway line. This area is centered by the host hall of Sesto San Giovanni. There are two different scales of public green area, Central Park and Community Garden. There is also a square near the host hall, which is our first point. It is surrounded by commercial area, public library and a greenhouse. The second one is a community garden with specific facilities for children, and the last one is a small community garden close to the residential area. According to the heat map, squares, architecture with specific surface, and greenland with facilities seem to get higher vitality. Then central space of Bulgaria is located in the northeast of the territory. Unlike the former ones, this space has been developing on the basis of historical nuclears, which also affect its fabric. There are mainly three active areas here, which are distinguished from others by the brick paving. First is a small plaza on the north side. We could see some red marks and blue marks referring to different types of spaces. The main traffic push here are walking, cycling, and also driving. Secondly, a larger plaza in front of the cathedral, combining all the three colors. People prefer walking here, and the main activities, such as sitting and drinking, take place at the edge of the set. Thirdly, it's more like an expansion of former open areas. There are only some functional spaces here. People would not stay here for too long. With the activity map, there are some connections between complexity and vitality. Finally, we come to the conclusion part. For open area among public space, the more complex functions it performs, the more vitality it has.